Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. On-chain revolution. Done this. Boom.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're back for the On-Chain Hour, and today's show is going to be really, really good in the sense of, you know, what we have to look forward to. Because there's a lot to look forward to in the sense of Spark, which is our main topic of today. I think they did a great job last night. Obviously, they had some problems. FlashNet went down a little bit, but it does seem like they're going to be back up and running in the next 48 hours. So that's kind of exciting. You know, if you were over there in the very early minutes of it, you made out like a bandit because you were able to get things for like 15, 20K, and some of them ran to $1 million. So that was really cool to see. And on top of that, you know, today we have the FOMC meeting, and the big question isn't if they're going to cut rates. They are, and it's going to be 0.25. That's basically guaranteed at this point, 99% on Polygon, and Jerome Powell does not shock market. So there is going to be no shock there. I think the biggest thing is if he comes out and talks about quantitative tightening. So right now we are in a quantitative tightening cycle. We've been in since 2022. So what we need to do is we need to pause that. But is that going to be what is the next bullish factor? Is that going to be something that is going to be kind of push us into risk on? I think so. And then you had Wintermute come out, and they're basically saying, hey, we think, you know, we're about to go into risk on. So we have actually a statement from their website. And on top of that, you have Binance dumping like crazy today. So it's like what is that, right? Like, what is going on with that sector? What is going on? Why is Binance saying one thing, Wintermute doing another? Yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So we'll get into that as well, and a lot of other stuff to kind of get into. But without further ado, let's get the show started. I bring up my partner here as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing today?
Doing good. Doing good. Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of what you just said is kind of confusing, right? To probably the audience right now. Like, which direction is Bitcoin going to go? Are we going into risk on? If so, then why are these assets selling down? And I have a theory. My theory is very simple: that you know, they want to sell down before the 2 o'clock meeting, the FOMC meeting, right? So if it's bullish, then they want to kind of clear out some of these leveraged longs before people get into this risk on mindset. Maybe I'm wrong with that. We'll see. But that's kind of what I'm seeing so far from all the information I've gathered.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like, I just don't get like why they would sell down if, you know, if we're going to potentially pump, unless you think that we're not going to pump, that this is just the beginning of a huge dump.
I mean, it could be, but it's also could kind of discourage people to get into leverage longs right now.
That's true.
You know, before the meeting, right? And if the meeting's like uber bullish, then you know we could spike up to like 120, right? And so bringing it back, you know, could kind of discourage some of these people that you know, have been probably a little bit scared anyways, but like they want to try to time the market, and time whenever we do go into a bullish mindset. And if you know, going into risk on is obviously whenever these alt assets really start to thrive. But it starts with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has to kind of be that leader. And so that's what I'm gathering from it. But look, I mean, it's been hard to really figure out these psyops that have happened all year, right? Especially lately. I feel like it's been extra psyop-y. I know that's not a word, but that's how I feel about it.
No, 100%. Yeah, what is happening this year, and we were actually talking about it pre-show, is this year has been nothing like we expected. We expected, you know, maybe we weren't expecting this huge bull run, but we were definitely expecting people to be here, ecosystems to start rising up, you know, and then people actually coming in and using the products. There's a lot of builders using a lot of products, but there's no users. That's a problem. That's a huge problem because these builders can't sustain. These builders are building these amazing products, but no one cares. No one has any money to care. No one has enough money. When someone builds something for staking, it's like awesome, but I can't keep these assets, so I have to constantly sell them down to kind of keep my lifestyle going. And that's been a problem all year. Every time you end up making money, you end up pulling that money out or getting into another asset, and that asset doesn't do as well. That's kind of what I'm seeing on the timeline. Is everyone's just always just like so unhappy with the gains they're getting because they were expecting so much more. Is that kind of how you feel as well?
I think everybody feels like that this year. And you know, where the liquidity kind of has been parked a bit has been in Solana and BSC. But it's been not easy as well over there, right? Because like the trenches have kind of been bearish, and there's like this complete domination of like the top traders with bots and all these things. You even have Binance coming out talking about they're trying to turn on like an easy mode situation to make it more encouraging for retail users. So even in the areas where native Web3 is right now, like the areas that have the liquidity and have the users, it's still very, very hard. It's extremely hard still, right? And so you know, one thing I notice is that like we talk about building things to get users. Well, in the headlines, we see a lot of stuff about PayPal, about Western Union. We see stuff that like these are Web2 companies that know how to get massive amounts of users. They already have them in the Web2 world. So, you know, is it kind of like a domination of like, you know, these Web2 corporations that are worth, you know, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars? PayPal's worth probably billions, right? And so, and they don't care about like, you know, users getting gains or anything like that. They're creating like a platform for people to use Web3 products, whether it's stable coins or whatever. And then we have our native builders over here that are like trying really hard, like extra hard to try to get users, but there's not the same. You're talking about like you can't compare those two type of companies. You know, it's like apples to oranges. The ones that do survive here almost take a Web2 approach, like, you know, the poly markets and these type, you know, the pack stuff is big with, you know, using tangible assets like the Pokemon stuff. Those kind of things have succeeded because that's, you know, appeals to these Web2 style users. And, you know, they don't have a token right away. So they're not focused on necessarily driving an asset up. They're more focused on driving their revenue up of their platform.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's been tough, but let's kind of get into today's first topic here. Get ready for the next 100x. The Spark Bitcoin ecosystem launch is about to ignite new era. So yesterday, if you guys don't know, Spark or Flashnet launched yesterday, and it was fun. It was fun in the beginning. So from my experience, so I was sitting here, I had this open, and it was all blank, right? Everything was blank. And then I'm sitting at my computer, I'm doing stuff with the show, and I look over and I see this token right here, Beta, just popped up, 100K market cap. So I just hit this button like 10 times. I pop. I put about like 250 in, and then I can actually show you guys the chart here because they actually do a really good job of showing the charts. So I got in super early, and I'm not doing any of this stuff as investment. I'm just messing around over here, so don't think I'm going to be holding any of this stuff. So if you go to my account, Shizzy on Chain, I say this is 1 minute. This is the second minute. I got right in there. Probably got in around 100K, and I just been holding. The only thing, this is like the beta cat is the only thing I am holding right now because Flashnet is down. If you look down here, you'll see Flashnet is offline. So this happened like 10 times last night. And then they put out this morning, they put out a tweet here, and the tweet basically said, we're seeing a spike in Spark SSP failures causing some outbound SAT transfers to fail. All funds are safe. They basically said overall swap success is 99.5%, but they're resolving the 0.05, and they said, they'll be back up and live in the next 48 hours. But it was fun. The time we did play over here, you did have a bunch of tokens actually graduate. You had, for the longest time, it was Beta and Milt. They were the two like fighting back and forth. HODL eventually came. Wow, I didn't know if HODL got to a 357 market. That's crazy. And then, you had Superdog, and soon 1 million actually became the largest token because they kept putting on the timeline. We're relaunching soon. And so someone created a token called Soon Coin. And you had Dragon and Pizza to finish it all up at the very end there. But what was your experience with this so far?
Yeah. So first, I want to kind of back it up a bit for the audience that doesn't know what Spark is. Spark is a scaling solution that utilizes Lightning Network to be able to, do some like really fast transactional things and have like a builder ecosystem. Obviously, this is a meme coin launchpad that Luminex has that you're looking at right now on the screen there. But there's two components to Spark's ecosystem. There's the Spark, network, and then you have the Flashnet kind of AMM type of product, right? And Flashnet makes all of this possible. So that's what was going, in and out consistently. But it's interesting because David Marcus, I believe his name is, right? The one of the founders of Spark he actually is from the Facebook group that started to build out Aptos and stuff like that. And so his son, Ethan Marcus, I think his name is in charge of Flashnet. And so Flashnet, basically, that's what's going to be kind of the thing that makes or breaks this. And there was times where it was consistent, and then people started getting a lot, having a lot of fun, and then it went down for a while, and then for a long time it was good, and then I think China woke up and then started to really play over here, and then kind of they bring a lot of demand, and then it shut down again. But that's okay in my opinion. Similar situations happen with Odin.fun, and they use ICP's tech stack and all that stuff. And if you go way back to like the early Solana days, Ethan Marcus even said Solana was down almost every single day, and they're doing an upgrade like you mentioned, so should be back up in the next 48 hours. We shall see.
Yeah, great breakdown, 100%. And then just being on the Lightning Network, do you think the maxis will actually start coming over and playing? And when I say come over and playing, I don't mean the launch pads. I mean like when they start building, smart contracts and stuff like that, where that'll allow you to do borrowing and lending and stable coins and stuff like that. Because technically the maxis love Lightning Network. They've always loved Lightning Network. And now we're actually kind of building on top of that. Or do you think they're going to stay away from it just like everything else?
I think they're more open-minded to try it out, right? Because they want to be able to, borrow against their Bitcoin, and if there's a staking option, possibly doing that. So I do think that they're going to be more open-minded to it because it does utilize Lightning Network. A lot of them, promote Lightning Network because of Jack Dorsey's whole push with Lightning. I think it was like Lightning was the #1 area that they wanted to succeed because you're not, doing a lot to Bitcoin Core necessarily, right? And then you had stacks that came after that they were like, okay, well, Lightning's kind of really tough in terms of building like out a lot of flecxibility with it, right? You can do payments, you can do stuff like that. But then Stacks came and said, well, you can do a lot more here. And I think Stacks was just like an ecosystem that didn't really deliver on their promises necessarily, right? And so this goes back to Lightning, which they preferred anyways, and says, okay, well, we can do what Stacks said they could do, except for use Lightning. I think they would be a lot more open-minded to it, more for like the DeFi capabilities, more for borrowing against your Bitcoin, those kind of things.
Yeah, and from my understanding too, the Bitcoin is not being wrapped. Like even when you take your Bitcoin to Stacks, you're getting a wrapped asset, right? Over here, what you're getting is you're actually just depositing your Bitcoin in the channels, and that Bitcoin is basically I don't really understand how Lightning works completely. But you're basically using that same Bitcoin just in the Lightning channels, correct?
Yeah, because like whenever you actually deposit, you can deposit with Lightning Bitcoin directly to Luminex, or you can deposit with native Bitcoin. It does take the 3-block confirmation, right? So it does go over into the channel. I'm sure that's how they have it set up. But yeah, I need to dive a little bit deeper in that aspect of it. But yeah, they're utilizing Lightning, but they also have components of their own. That's very native to like what they built with Spark.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so let's kind of jump into exactly what's going on over here. So this is the Luminex Launchpad. So think of Luminex right now. They want to be the pump fund, the bonk.fun launchpad system. And I think they did an amazing job. There is another one called UTXO.fun. That one's awesome, but it doesn't give you the ones from Luminex. So you might be missing out on some of them. Where this one is actually aggregating the ones from UTXO.fun. So you can actually just come here and do everything from this one place. Because I think a couple Milt, for instance, was a UTXO.fun coin, but it feels just like it was launched here. So that's one thing that's pretty cool. But obviously, you're not getting the new stuff from UTXO.fun. You're only getting the stuff that has been merged, over to the graduated, right? Is that kind of how that works? Or do you see some UTXO funds that here as well?
Yeah, they're in the stretch as well in the new.
Okay.
So they aggregate all 3 areas. You know what this reminds me
wow.
of? It reminds me of a GMGN, except for they have their own tokens that you can launch as well. GMGN doesn't have that, right? So GMGN doesn't have a launch pad in itself, but they, have the aggregation of all the launch pads over there. This is kind of a combination. It's like we will aggregate from the launch pads, but we have our native ones too.
Yeah, that makes sense. For sure. Is there anything over here you're kind of excited about? Obviously, I'm mainly in Beta Cat. That was the one that I've gotten into. I did get into Milt a little bit. I got into Estel. I got into Soon. But like last night, it was getting late for me, and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be in anything risky right now. So I just converted all my gains. So I only put $500 in here. As you can see, I got $3,500. So I put $500 in here, and then I end up just making some on gains. I got in Soon at like 20K, got out of it like 200K and stuff like that, which I wish I would have stayed in Soon, but it is what it is. There was some other ones like Milt, for instance, where I got in at like probably like 80K and I got out like 180K, so I did make money there. So, but what I did was I ended up just taking all that and just put it in Beta Cat because it was the first token. And if you look up here, you do see that exact image, right? So it is kind of like Luminex's first token. Oh, that's cool too. I didn't notice that. So you can see where they're from if you look on the side there. Okay, that has to be new. I didn't see it last night.
No, it's there. It was there. That's how you could tell the difference between them. Is that little logo there, right? If it was from Luminex or UTXO Fun. But for the audience, just know that this is that kind of gambling environment, right? Like it's very, very high risk environment, just so you guys know that. So it's but the difference is that it's just started for Spark. So imagine like pump funds day 2, and that's where it is over here, right? So really, really high risk, but it it can be fun, but you got to know your risk tolerance and all that stuff. But it's a start to kind of get, I think, attention to the Spark ecosystem and Flashnet to show what Flashnet can do.
Yeah, 100%. And if you ever played on Pump Fun or Bonk.fun, or even Odin, you know exactly what this is, right? There's a lot of the 90% pumps and dumps, 10% community coins. But you are seeing some community coins kind of being built on the backs of former posts, right? So for instance, you know, you had Xverse. This is a post from them, you know, forever ago. I want to say this is from October 28th or whatever it was. And Dragon wasn't a coin yet. Or yes, Dragon wasn't a coin yet. And then somebody saw this. This is like one of the testnet coins, but somebody saw this and then they created Dragon. And another instance was for Luminex, for instance, they actually, I think it's right here, they actually did a video and you can see Superdog. And this is, you know, way earlier in the day. So people were just kind of seeing what they did here. And they took it and actually made real coins with it. So I guess this was like a test net over there on Sparks that they were all using. And they actually came in and they started using it. So I do love that fact. And, you know, obviously Soon was born from them coming out and saying soon. And then you have your pizza. And I don't know where the hell milk came from. But, and then you have your hodl. But I like the tokens that graduated already. I think they're funny, some of them. And I think that they all have like ties into the Sparks ecosystem in different ways.
Yeah, it's day one, so that's natural for that to happen, right? And
Yeah.
so I think you're going to see, you know, some of these probably early ones really start to form community, because you have to, right? There has to be success shown for more people to be interested in things like this. That doesn't mean that any of these are going to be successful. That's not what I'm saying, but that's just logical, you know, thinking logically, right? But you know, it's something that you can play with and just know kind of that it is a risky game, and you go over there. You know, one of the biggest things that we got into this yesterday was to just test it out. Like, is it you know what they say it is? And when it's up, when Flashnet is up, it is what they say it is my experience, at least. What about yours?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same exact experience that I felt with Solana. I actually it might have actually felt a little faster than Solana because I think that like when I was buying the tokens there, I don't know about you, they were immediately coming up my wallet. Like it was like I would click this thing up here, and if you don't know what this thing is, it's like it's bullets. So it loads you up with like 9 bullets, and every time you buy something, depending on how much money you spend, you lose some bullets, and you actually have like a cooldown almost, which is I think it's something to kind of stop bots from just kind of just going crazy, which I think is fine in that sense, but it was kind of cool. So I would just like, you know, hit on these like $5,000-6,000 tokens, and I was watching them come in. I'm like, okay, this one has 13 holders, this one has like 16 holders. Let me get in this one, and I would just pound, like I would just hit this a couple times, and then they would show up, you know, in my wallet like right away. Is that kind of what your experience was too?
Yeah, and I do think it was to limit the bot, basically the bots being able to snipe every single thing, right? But you know, people are going to create them, especially in this downtime. They're going to figure out ways to develop the bots and stuff like that. But maybe we can walk them through like just the deposit aspect of it, because you can deposit in 3 ways, right? So if you go to luminex.io/spark, you go to that top right and you go to receive, then you have those 3 options there. You have the Spark address, and then you have which, you know, if you have Spark Bitcoin in your Xverse, you can send it directly to that wallet. You can connect your Xverse to this, by the way. And then you have the second option, native Bitcoin. If you wanted to just send it from a centralized exchange like Coinbase or, you know, Kraken or something, you can send it directly to that address. It does take 3 Bitcoin blocks for that, but then it goes directly into your wallet as usable Bitcoin. And then, of course, the last one is that Lightning network, which is probably, you know, kind of a nuisance because you have to generate the invoice and all that stuff. But, you know, I don't use Lightning a ton. So, but the 3 options are right there. So it's pretty straightforward. After that, you get funded there, and then you can play in this area, or, you know, wherever else you're using that wallet within the Spark ecosystem.
Yeah, 100%. I guess the easiest way would be go to Coinbase, and you know, buy Bitcoin and send that Bitcoin through the Lightning Network, because Coinbase does allow you, and Cash App as well. If you have a Cash App, you can send that through the Lightning Network as well. So all you have to do is come over here, click the Lightning Network. It's going to create an invoice, tell it how many sats you want to sell, or you want to you know, bring in to this. So you'll create an invoice, and then you'll go to your Cash App or your Coinbase, and you can send it through Lightning, and it'll be there instantly. And then you know, I think it kind of just shows up as Spark Bitcoin for you, because Lightning Network Bitcoin is basically Spark Bitcoin. It's just, there's little differences in that. I think it's just how the indexer kind of reads it. And then on top of that, you know, this did take a little while to the 3 confirmations. That's kind of how I got in. Is that how you got in as well?
Yeah. I got lucky and I snuck into that next block, but that doesn't happen all the time. Actually, probably doesn't happen most of the time. A lot of times I just get stuck in a like 30-minute block, right? But yeah, that's how I got in. So it's really simple in terms of how to get it funded over there. But overall question about the Spark ecosystem, because if you look at Bitcoin's ecosystem, seems kind of a bit beat down in general, like morale, liquidity, volume, all these things. You're talking about ordinals, you're talking about runes, you're talking about just everything, right? It just feels that way. And so Spark kind of, no pun intended, brought a spark into the whole situation, right? So do you feel like people are looking to Spark to revive this ecosystem, and do you think it happens?
Yeah, man, 100%. It's definitely been tough in the Bitcoin ecosystem when it comes to the runes and then ordinals, and then we're just kind of sitting there with this BIP 444 thing where potentially they're going to be able to block transaction. It's kind of like it's almost like all the builders have pivoted to at least scaling solutions. I mean, Luminex, they're using scaling solutions. They're doing stuff with Ethereum. They're doing stuff with ICP. And then there's few builders really left here. Magic Eden was somebody who was building for Spark. They used to be building for runes, but now I just feel like they're just going to be building for NFTs. Odin, they're using another scaling solution like ICP again. It's just it's gloom and dark for Bitcoin. Even if we start to get really bullish here, there's only 6 runes and about 6 collections that are actually worth investing in. And I just don't see any new stuff happening on the Bitcoin layer 1. I hate to say it, but it might be time, if you haven't already, to start really looking at stuff like Spark. If Arch ever ends up launching Arch as well. And Merlin, I think Merlin's going to be a really good big place in the future to kind of be utilizing your Bitcoin and stuff over there. But yeah, I just don't see. I mean, you probably feel different, but I don't really see a big future with the Bitcoin layer 1 ecosystem right now. And I could be wrong, but I don't know. How do you feel with that?
I think that they need to embrace the good scaling solutions. So if you have layer 1 assets that are born on Bitcoin layer 1, you can do more with them, because you're never going to get the fast experience on layer 1. That's just not going to happen. And I think, you got to accept that part.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Anything else that we missed with this? I think we covered this pretty well, in my opinion. Is there anything you're looking forward to after relaunch?
Well, I would say just if you want to know the status update of Flashnet, there's a website that you can go to, status.flashnet.xyz, and it's going to let you know. Right now it says all systems operational, but they haven't flipped the AMM back on yet. But once the AMM switches back on, this will tell you if it's down or not. So I'll drop this link here in the chat so everybody has it as well. So that's just the status to where you can see that top bar is very very little there. So that's the downtime or the uptime of Flashnet AMM API, but they're supposed to fix this though. Hopefully it's fixed within the next 24 hours. We'll see.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to talking about that soon. Hopefully tomorrow. That'd be cool to kind of get into. But all right, so let's dig into today's stuff. So today you have the FOMC decision at 2 p.m., followed by Powell's press conference at 2:30. We will find out about quantitative tightening at 2 p.m. when they put out that file that explains what they're going to be doing. So we're going to know right away, 2 p.m. Eastern time, whether we're staying in quantitative tightening. Everyone is expecting a 0.25 rate cut. I mean, then you have something like Polymarket right now, which is absolutely, this thing is tilted one way, like completely one way here at 98%. Do you see anything happen? Do you think Jerome spooks markets at all and maybe cuts 50 or no change? Or do you think that everyone's pretty sure of what's going to happen?
I think it's pretty sure. Like you said, he doesn't like to create a huge volatility event right in the markets. And so if it were to be 50 or even no change, I think everybody would be extremely shocked.
Yeah, 100%. Ugh. But yeah, so that's happening at 2 p.m. and 2:30. We did have some good news today. China buys 180,000 tons of U.S. soybeans in the first purchase in months ahead of the Trump Z meeting. So they're meeting later this week. 93% chance of China and U.S. deal by November 10th. We do know by November 1st, Trump wants to put in a 180% tariff, but we think that's going to get kind of pushed back till there's a deal done. They are meeting, I think, the 30th, I think is tomorrow, or it might be the 31st, but the meeting later this week. And hopefully that deal gets done and we can kind of have that, in the rear view. I mean, that will be something potentially, it could be a year, 2-year long deal that we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, and this is a big deal in my opinion. Them not buying the soybeans was really hurting the farmers here, and this is a statement in my opinion, that they're ready, I think, to kind of get this deal closed up.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, in this next, we have so many catalysts, dude. So many catalysts in the next week or so, and especially with Monday being, the first Monday of November. I mean, I don't see how you can be bearish right now. If you're sitting here and you're looking at, Bitcoin at 112, just above 111. Oh my goodness. But it's just one of those things where it's just like it looks bad. It looks bad right now, but everything could change at 2 p.m. Do you agree?
Yes, everything could change at 2 p.m. and I have a feeling that it probably will, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it does look pretty bloody right now, as you can see. The candles look pretty bad.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's jump into something a little early here. Let's jump into the crypto fear and greed. So last week we're at a 29. Yesterday we were at a 42. Where do you think we're at today?
35.
You're kind of close. We're sitting there. We're around 39. Not looking great. Not looking great at all. Definitely get back in the fear. Want to get out of the fear. So, but yeah, man.
All right.
All right, let's get into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. I'm actually excited to kind of see your view on this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Before we get into the Bitcoin price action, though, guys, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like and then turn your notifications on, all that great stuff, and subscribe to the channel. On the X side, let's share the space to as many people as possible. Same thing with Abstract, Kick, Rumble, all those great platforms as well. Let's get into some price action here. Share my screen for the hour chart. It is not looking good at all right now. But again, in my opinion, highly manipulated. Right. This is where the manipulation started, in my opinion. We got, we were having a good kind of push up yesterday up to 116, like 400, only to bring it all the way back down here yesterday at 111, or sorry, 112, 200, and then sideways for another leg down. Yeah, so I think, just really staying out of the market right now in terms of course, like leverage, right? That's where everybody's being extra cautious. Even some of the safer coins, got hit yesterday, just because, the manipulation was so prominent and so intense, really. And so 2:00 Eastern is whenever that meeting happens. I think really letting that information come out and then giving it even like 4 to 6 hours is going to be important, in my opinion, to get the data, to get the sentiment really set. Because if it's bad, it could get real bad, right? Because we're already kind of heading down into this downtrend. I don't think that's the case. I think this is actually to flush the longs out even more. And if you're going to go up, without having a crazy uptick to like 135, 140, you've got to go down first. And I think that's what's kind of happening here, right? But yeah, so the indicators right here, the stochastics and the MACD, definitely on the same page as of now, before that FOMC meeting, right? So you can see the stochastics wanting to head back below oversold territory. The MACD is also kind of starting that new sell pressure session. I have a feeling this is not going to be too intense, but we'll see how it plays out here in the next 2-4 hours, right? And I, really support and resistance, in my opinion, doesn't really matter here, because I am on that kind of mentality that it is being manipulated before the FOMC meeting. We'll see, though. So that is where we are for the hour chart, right? So getting to 2:00 Eastern and then waiting for the information to come in and then giving it a couple hours is probably going to be very, very important. And then the 4-hour chart is going to be probably, sell pressure continued. That's what we're seeing here, right? So maybe we do have a continuation here. If we do have that psyop play after like the 2 o'clock FOMC meeting, and it is going in, he says we're going into tight or easing and all these things, then we could have this chart reverse, right? Obviously the 1 hour is going to be more intense, and then we start to see this come back up. But yeah, that is Bitcoin on the 1 hour and 4 hour. Daily going to be very similar situation. Looks like it's breaking down for the buy pressure. This could change as well. So 2 o'clock today, very important. Same thing with Ethereum, all 3 time frames. Right, you got the hour, the 4 hour, and the daily, right? So we're just kind of following Bitcoin on that. And then let's get into the crypto bubbles are going to be pretty bloody. I can tell you guys right now, it's going to look pretty. Yeah, there we go. So let's start with the top 100 tokens here. Trump coin is up 17% though. He's thriving, or his coin is thriving here. And then you got WLFI, which is another thing associated with the Trump family, up 4.2%. It's kind of weird. And then you got the pump token, pump.fun, up 1.9%. Aerodrome up 1.5%. Virtuals starting to show some strength here, and I think a lot of it has to do with the X402 side of things. That has been like a hot topic this past week. It's been overshadowed by the bearishness of Bitcoin's price the past 2 days, but there's a lot of momentum that picked up with that. So I think virtuals, that's probably why virtuals is still in the green here, up 3%. There's a couple projects that came out of virtuals. I think Santa's one of them. And there's another one I can't think off the top of my head that's a part of that X402 meta that is kind of hot there. And then you see Plasma pulling back, finally having a red day, because it did have a couple green days in a row. So Plasma pulling back 3.3% there. Aster pulling back 7%. So some of the people still getting wrecked on Aster that bought in at $2.10. It's $1.02 right now. See Sonic pulling back about 5% there. Crypto.com token pulling back 6.5%. And you got Pi, which is a very interesting token with their marketing kind of schemes there. They had that vendor machine kind of where you can buy Pi from anywhere. In the news recently, they're up almost 12% there. And then you got HBAR pulling back 1.3%, Uniswap pulling back 4.2%. Stacks, I know you had a question in the chat, Stan, about Stacks. We'll get to that here in a second. Stacks has pulled back 3.6%. And the thing about Stacks is if Spark is a big success, it could really start to overshadow Stacks, because Stacks is supposed to be that scaling solution that everybody was looking forward to. And then you got some memes here. Doge pulling back about 4%, and Bonk pulling back 1.2% there. SPX pulling back 1.7%, and ETH pulling back 13.4% there. Let's go into the top 200 here. Top 200 Fartcoin is in the top 200 now, and it is down 6%, sitting at that 37%. Man, this was at like almost 2 billion at one point, I think. No, it was almost 4 billion. Was it at 4 billion at one point? No, because that's a different thing there. Okay, yeah. So I do remember it being at like 2 billion though. It's at 375 million now. So it's dropped quite significantly since its all-time high. You got CoAI also kind of pulling back after having like a good week of green. And in the past couple of days, it has really kind of pulled back. It's down 24.4%. Falcon Finance pulling back about 9% there. You got Merlin Chain pulling back about 12%. Pepe pulling back 18%. All the Pulse stuff as well pulling back 6%, which makes sense because people were really kind of aping into that with that speculation with Richard Hart sending all that ETH to Tornado Cash, right? Starknet pulling back 2.8%. And you got this token, CCD, pulling up 23.4%. And you look into them. Barachain pulling up 2%. Must have had some news with that as well. And then Zora pulling back at 8.6% there. Yeah, so that's pretty much Bitcoin and Ethereum and the alts, but that is what's happening.
Yeah, man. Let's jump over to the and sorry guys, I'm having like crazy connection. Like, I don't know, right before the show started today, everything was fine. And then right like the minute before, my headphones started acting up and I just had to restart my modem. But I think everything's good now. I was hearing you good there. So let's jump into
Nice.
the next thing here, which is roll call. All right, so every day we like to take the first name of the chat and we put it on a spreadsheet. And that first person today is the great ASAP Benji. Shout out to ASAP Benji. You, sir, have a win. Not sure exactly. You got win number 19. Oh, wow. I didn't realize you won that much. Congratulations to you. We have win 19 on the year. Congratulations to ASAP Benji. I'm actually show you my sheet here. But yeah, congratulations to you. Number 19, number 19th win of the year. Congratulations. All right, all right. Let's jump into the rest of the roll call here. We have ASAP Benji, Tim Baker is here, Hydro Sapien is here, Webdro, ASAP Benji again, Bitcoin Truth is here. Appreciate you, my friend. Abstract, Vader Time says QE starting today. I don't think they can start QE. I've never seen them go from QT to QE. It's usually QT to pause to QE, but we'll see. K99 says beta going to 30 million. We'll see. I don't think so, but we'll see. Spindrift said, what's up with Spark? Why is it down? We covered that already. Lackey Lukey is here. GM. Satoshi Nakamoto says Lightning Network swap is a great idea. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they can get us up and running. They did say 99% chance of uptime, but we'll see. And then Stan says, is Stacks officially out of the BTC race? What do you think? I don't say out of the BTC race. What do you think?
Yeah, not out of the race, but if Spark does have a successful kind of roll up here in the next I would say 2 to 4 weeks, and it's showing to be really successful, then it could overshadow Stacks, I think, a bit, right? I mean, the thing with Stacks is that like people have used it to swap for some meme tokens and stuff like that, but then I just hear about like just from a technical perspective, like bad experiences with it. Like Merlin's fast. You know what I mean? I know it's an EVM tech stack versus Stacks having their own, but like they're running into like issues with having Bitcoin stuck over there and stuff like that. So Merlin's also doing their own thing with BTC-Fi. I don't know what Stacks is going to be known for anymore, because they were always shooting for the scaling solution for Bitcoin. So
yeah, and if if Spark is that, then what do they have? Especially the biggest thing of Spark too is all the hacks, right? Wasn't it like 3 or 4 hacks in this year that like really messed them up?
yeah, there was. I mean, Alex, I think got hacked twice. I think maybe, and somebody else did once as well. So they say it's the protocols issue, not the chain. But I mean, it's still, as of right now, like Stacks isn't big enough to be able to kind of absorb that, and say, okay, it's the protocol. People are going to look at Stacks because they don't know the protocol because it's not big enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. All right, jumping to other small stuff here. So World Liberty Financial announces it will distribute 8.4 million WLFI tokens to USD1 early adopters. So if you were somebody who played with the USD1 or used it over on Solana, you potentially could be getting an airdrop here. 8.4 million. I'm not sure exactly how much that token is, but it doesn't seem like that much. What do you think is the pull here? I guess to get people to use USD1 for the next one.
Probably, yeah, just to try to encourage people to use USD1. The funny thing is that like it could be kind of a cross marketing thing for Bonk, because Bonk is using a lot of USD1 pools with a lot of their coins that are being launched, right? So people might start trying to use that to play in that game. Maybe, I don't know, because like Bonk is pretty dead lately. But yeah, I imagine it has to be just to increase the usage, get more users.
Yeah, for sure. And especially if they constantly do these type of these drops to USD1 adopters, it's pretty big. All right, the next thing here, Western Union CEO says, we looked at most of the alternatives and came to the conclusion that Solana blockchain was the right choice for us. So Western Union is going to be using Solana as their rails for their new payment system. So basically, we know Western Union is that old school payment system. It seems like it started back in like the 1800s with the horses. And if you needed to send someone money, they would ride it to that person for you. And then obviously to today's age, with even with Venmo and stuff like that, like it's Western Union's almost pointless. But now they're actually going to crypto rails. What do you think about them choosing Solana though?
I think this probably upset the XRP faithful a ton, right? You even have like people like Bitlord, Crypto Bitlord. He's like, as a major XRP stakeholder, I'm genuinely concerned. You guys worked on this for over 13 years. How did this dog shit Solana come on board with Western Union, right? But it kind of is like, you know, look, people can say XRP can, you know, they are their own, they are the Western Union or whatever, but we're starting to see like Web2 branding is coming into the space because they already have users. They already have users, right? So if they're, you know, open-minded enough to come and use these rails and stuff, then their users just become the users of Solana now, you know, because they're using Solana. So they have millions of users already, right? So I think this is a big win for Solana to get that. But yeah, it looks like we got a little guest in the chat here. BitGod says, bro, and he says, send the coins soon. We will send them soon. But anyways, going back to this, what do you think?
Yeah, and it is funny that, you know, you can't use XRP though, right? So what XRP wanted you to do, they wanted you to you know, start with cash, buy XRP, send the XRP, then dump it back into cash. It doesn't make any sense, right? Why would you do that when you can just use stable coins? And XRP, like they have RLUSD, but that's their EVM, and their EVM isn't as fast as the XRP chain. So it kind of rules out all the aspects. There's no reason to use XRP. XRP is a meme coin at best. Like it is the same as Litecoin at this point, right? So it's like it's one of those things where it was such a psyop that people are still psyoped into. No one's going to be using XRP to cross border payments. They're going to be using stable coins on networks like Solana and, you know, maybe even Spark. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That, you know, because XRP is going to use a stable coin, which they already have, you know, created, right? So it's just like, where does the XRP fit in, right? Does it fit into some staking or that type of situation? But it looks like Solana paid Western Union for a 6-month deal or something like that. So isn't that crazy that like the crypto brands are now paying some of these Web2 because they realize like that they have the users, they got the users. You know, they're having such a hard time onboarding users to native platforms and ecosystems that are normies. But why not just go to the normies platforms and just partner with them?
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%. All right, so let's get into some ETF stuff here. So 21 shares files for an S1 for Hyperliquid, and they're thinking they can get a Hyperliquid ETF on the market potentially this month. What do you think about, or next month in November? What do you think about a Hyperliquid ETF? Do you think something like this gets passed, knowing how new it is?
man, it's pretty big. As long as they're doing all the stuff that they need to do with the, you know, regulatory entities, right, like the SEC and stuff like that, and all the paperwork stuff, because there's certain groups that have done that the right way and gotten into centralized exchanges that are based in the US and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, definitely a strong possibility that this becomes a reality. Probably not in the initial kind of runnings of all the ones that are going to be, you know, live and stuff like that. But yeah, Hyperliquid's, a lot of people looking at them very strong. If they can prove that they are solid and all these things, then I don't see a reason why they wouldn't get one, right? And it's not Hyperliquid themselves, obviously. It's 21 shares, I know that, but like the asset themselves would probably want to show strength to the US regulatory entities, because this would be big for them.
Monsters for them, 100%. All right, but let's talk about the ones that have gotten listed. So yesterday we had 3 ETFs kind of get listed. So we're going to kind of go over what they've done. So the fund BSOL, this is from Bitwise, a spot-Solana ETF by Bitwise, saw about 69 million in inflows on its first trading day, which is really good. But then you look at HBAR, and it did about 8 million in volume, but it didn't do any inflows. So I went and looked up what is considered inflows. So traders buy and sell ETF shares on the open market like HBR, but no new shares are created. It counts as zero net inflow, even though there are some trading volume. So Litecoin and HBAR both traded yesterday, but they both have, zero inflows. They both did, $8 million for HBAR and $1 million for Litecoin, but they didn't create any new shares yesterday, which means people are just trading these. They're not actually investing in them. So what do you think so far? I mean, obviously yesterday was day one, but what do you think so far about, Solana kind of being seen as, very similar to Ethereum, I guess, which that's a lot to the comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger, the other two didn't have any inflows, right? So, I mean, it's definitely a bigger win for Solana, but it makes sense, brand recognition. I think HBAR is going to be something that does pick up though, because it's very corporate friendly. You see the kind of corporate structure in the backers that they have. If you go to the HBAR website, you can see all of their corporate backing. And so I think that will pick up over time. But this is even kind of small right now, so it's kind of like just getting started, right? These type of assets, I think if we get into more risk on, then Solana will thrive more. And so will some of the other ones, but some of these will eventually become less risky, I think. Like an HBAR or something, if they are kind of controlled by these board of corporate backers, they're going to make sure that they're solid, and feel safe, right? So those are going to be stuff to look forward to in the next couple of years to see if they are, ETF shares that people start getting into and holding longer term, things like that, right? So and then you'll have probably some other riskier ones like Hyperliquid if it becomes one, because they'll see it in their mind, oh, they're a perps and leverage decks, but they're building more, but right now that's what they're known for. That's probably more of the risk, probably be more on the risk curve until they build they're more formidable and they're much more than just a perps and leverage decks.
Yeah, 100%. And then when it comes to these today, do you think it's going to take time for these ones to kind of start moving a little bit, the
Yeah.
Litecoin and the Hedera? And if you're someone like XRP, sitting on the sideline there, are you just like, oh, whatever? I'm kind of glad we didn't get listed today because there is no inflows, there is no hype amongst these ETFs.
No, you want to get it as soon as possible because you want it to be ready whenever the time is right for the market, right? So no, they're probably, next in line or whatever, trying to get those through. Whoever's in filing those.
Yeah, I would like to see Dogecoin get it ahead of XRP. I think that one would actually ignite a little bit of people using it. I think Dogecoin can actually potentially even pass Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, Ethereum in the sense of volume. And be number 2 behind Bitcoin because it's I think it's more well known than Ethereum, like Dogecoin and TradFi, because of the GameStop situation.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not with the big players. I think the big players are gonna definitely, side more towards Ethereum. Maybe those, having fun with the meme culture on TradFi. That side, yeah, possibly. But there's no. I don't. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. I do think they get one because people have filed for it, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, there's about 80 ETFs that will be hitting the market. A new one just dropped today. It's the Grayscale GSOL. It's the Grayscale Solana one. This was actually a trust that got moved over to now being an ETF. So we've seen them do that with the Bitcoin one. We've seen them do that with the Ethereum one, and now they're doing it with the Solana one. But we did see a lot of net outflows last time this happened with Ethereum and with Bitcoin from the trust, because it's the first time they can actually sell any of the Solana that they've put in there, and they've been putting Solana in there since Solana was like $10. So they made a lot of money on Solana so far. So do you expect a lot of net outflows coming from this, or do you think that maybe with the timing it's just like they're just going to be holding?
Well, if hopefully for the Solana people that like we see a pretty big rise up, to kind of, I guess take that hit, because yes, I do expect that to happen. We saw it with Bitcoin. That's exactly what they did with Bitcoin. Was they started dumping it after the ETF went live, right? They did wait a little bit for it to rise up though, because
Yeah.
you want to get as much as you can without being greedy. And I think that's what their approach will be with this as well.
Yeah, and when Grayscale was doing that, Bitcoin was like 25,000, like 35,000. January of 2024. Isn't that crazy to think about that? In January 2024, Bitcoin was
It
like
jumped,
30 grand.
but it jumped pretty quick in February. I want to say it
Yes.
jumped to like 50, almost. Yeah, it was teasing like 50 to 60 because like BlackRock was buying all the like tons of it and all that stuff. So
yeah, but let's move along. Visa will add support for 4 stablecoins on 4 separate blockchains, as revealed by CEO Ryan McInerney during the Q4 2025 earnings call. He said it yesterday, so they're gearing up to kind of go stablecoins as well. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to be using the stablecoins. I don't know if they're going to be using them very similar to how the other company is using them. Who's that? Western Union. Whether it's just the rails and they're going to be settling and stuff like that. But they're set to use 4 different stablecoins on 4 different blockchains next year. Should be pretty big.
yeah, I'm wondering how that's going to work with what they offer, but probably just settlement type stuff, so
It'll be bank to bank settlement stuff. It won't be like user to user. Everything's going to happen still in the Web 2, and they're just going to use crypto in the back end to kind of settle everything. But they did not yet publicly name the 4 new stablecoins or exactly which blockchains they will sit on. So we don't know if they're going to be using USDC, Tether, PYUSD. Everything is still kind of locked up, or if it's going to be their own. But we'll probably find out here shortly. All right, so I had something from Wintermute, but Wintermute came out and as a statement from them that on their website, they said markets are rotating back into risk. So after inflation and renewed U.S.-China dialogue lift sentiment, cleaner positioning nets us a constructive path in November. So Wintermute, who we do know is the hitman for Binance, or anyway, I consider them being the hitman for Binance. Binance just sends them all their crypto holdings and they just dump them on every exchange possible. And then they send back cash and they just keep everything. What I mean is a market maker. Market makers are said to be the ones who keep markets stable in the sense of always having buy and sell orders there to kind of make sure that, if a dump, it gets bought up very quickly. So if you ever do see that, big dump happen and then it gets bought up very quickly, a lot of the time it's Wintermute and just doing their job. But what do you think about Wintermute here kind of saying it's time for risk on?
I believe them. I know that like most people are like, what? Like they're the enemy and all these things, but I mean, they do have a job. Market makers have a job, right? And it is to, we saw what happened whenever market makers didn't do anything on October 10th, was it? Whenever it was that super bloody 11th, yeah, the super bloody Friday. Market makers couldn't do anything, and all you had was sell pressure, right? So, I believe that they're trying to let the markets know a little bit of what's to come, and this also kind of brings me back to what I feel about what's happening today, right now, this very minute, of Bitcoin kind of dumping below 112. We're at 111,500 before this FOMC meeting, and Trump's going to China. What's the date for that? Do you know what the date is for that?
I'm pretty sure it's this week, Thursday or Friday. I got to look at the exact time, but I think it's in the middle of the night for us.
Yeah, China buying U.S. soybeans for the first time in months. These are signs, in my opinion, that like, okay, let's get away from all the funny business that happened in the summer. Let's kind of get into a more aligned kind of perspective heading into the end of the year.
Yeah, 100%. All right, jump to the next thing here. According to CoinGecko data, privacy-focused cryptocurrencies have been a sharp uptick in the sector's market capitalization of $14.3 billion. What do you think about the privacy sector? So before, the privacy sector has been basically so beaten down because everyone thought that the government was going to ban them. But privacy is something that people are kind of seeing as innovation for crypto because, like Jeff said on Monday, he said, when he pays his employees in crypto, he doesn't want one person knowing that they're getting $10,000 and then you being able to go check that on chain and saying, hey, why did I get he gets $7,000 this week and I got 10? or why did, you know, in that sense, you just, you know, you don't want other people knowing how much everyone's getting paid. And with privacy, now you can potentially be able to hide transactions, at least on the blockchain level. Maybe you can see a transaction saying this wallet to this wallet, but actually hiding the backend. But what do you think about privacy right now in this new era of Trump crypto?
The corporations want it. If they're going to come into this space, they're not going to come into it unless they can hide specific data, you know, information. For them, it gives their competitors an advantage to know everything about what happens with them. So I do think privacy is actually going to really do very well, and it's a different take on it. It's not necessarily for the individual as well, but yes, that too. But you know, you brought up Jeff as an example, but that's a corporate structure perspective, right? You know, and so yeah, I think that they're going to do well. It's picking the right ones. You know, obviously, like stuff like Monero's very private is what they try to shoot for, right? And but are they secure? You know, plus branding is probably going to be a part of, like, you know, which ones are going to thrive and stuff. Zcash has been getting a lot of attention, I think, too, right? So we'll see also how the X402 plays into that, 'cause maybe some other situations to where you don't need to get into those actual environments to do it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. You know, X402 kind of has these privacy things built in as well. So, are you bullish or bearish right now? Obviously, the privacy has ran a lot, right? They're one of the hottest sector. Are you bullish and bearish on privacy going forward?
Bullish as a service, probably. The actual coins and stuff, that's more for, I think, personal. Like if someone wants to do something and cash out something, like, you know what I mean, personally or
Yeah.
something. But like Coinbase already has kind of that's what they're trying to implement with base chain, right? It's to because I think they know what the corporations want and what they don't want, right? So if they get subpoenaed, though, like, you know, your information's going up, like your address and transaction history is going to be out to whoever subpoenas it.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be, you know, private to a sense of being private. So
Web 2,
but
basically.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. So I went and looked at the categories, right? So mobile mining is up 16% today, which is crazy. So Pi Network, I have never mobile mined anything. But I might start. I mean, I don't know why these tokens are up so much. It does look like it's really just
Pi's
Pi
been on
Network.
fire.
Why is, I guess, because of the ATMs in China?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but who loves that token? The Chinese or the Eastern,
Yeah.
like, you know. So yeah, I guess. I mean, they are the hex of like the Eastern world, I feel like, right? They go into senior homes and put ATMs into stores so you can get Pi.
Yeah. Get the pie. But yeah, looking at other sectors, you do have let's go to the 24. Directed, I don't know what the hell this is. But what do you think about, okay, H bar Caspa? Okay, so this is like the kind of like the I don't know what this is, the DAGs. What is this stuff?
It does look like DAGs because I think, well,
Oh, it does right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
DAGs. Yeah. Okay. So directed graph is a DAG. Okay. I got you. All right, moving
Yeah.
along here. Back to the 24. Tokenized private credit, Trump affiliated, up 2% today, but everything else is kind of down. Let's kind of go to the biggest losers. I mean, Binance Launch Pool, Gaming, YZI Labs, but yeah. But
Binance ecosystem's
that's
taking a beating.
yeah, the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, Binance Launchpad, YZ Labs. That's pretty much all the incubated. That's the incubator, and then you have the launch pools for their launch pads. I guess that's what that's for. But I mean, Binance also thrived since the summer. Very, you know, BNB still okay though. I'm pretty sure. BNB itself, like the token, but this ecosystem seems to be taking a bit of a hit. Well, it's almost $1,100. Yeah, it's not doing too bad.
Yeah, man. All right. So next thing I have here, the Ethereum Foundation has launched an institutional portal to guide enterprises adopting Ethereum and showcase the ecosystem building a new financial system. So Ethereum here is kind of getting into the institutional game. I think that this is kind of late. I feel like they should have done this a long time ago. I feel like there is, stuff that they could have done with Tether and said, hey, let's build Tether on top of Ethereum and stuff like that. But I don't think they really gave too much help to a lot of people. And it does seem like this is kind of like their first crack at it here. But do you think a lot of institutions start using Ethereum instead of going the circle route and actually just creating their own EVM?
I do think I think that they will. They have the TradFi representation, with Tom Lee, and you got Joe Lubin, right? And those type of people that mingle with the institutions and the banking infrastructures and the corporations, all that stuff. So I think that there's going to be people that are like, institutions that adopt and use Ethereum for what they need it to do, right? It also depends on what their intentions are, right, and their ambitions. If they are trying to be a big player in the space, maybe they do go the circle route, you know. Um, but if they're just needing it for, to scale into be a representation of their Web3 presence, then maybe they do kind of take this kind of guide of Ethereum and do things there.
Yeah, man, for sure. And then the last thing here is BitMine acquired 113 million worth of ETH on Tuesday. The company's Monday disclosure revealed that its treasury holdings have surpassed 3.3 million ETH, worth $13 billion. So we do know that they are, one of the biggest ETH holders, and now the second biggest treasury behind MicroStrategy, who has about 45 billion. Do you ever see BitMine catching up to MicroStrategy? I feel like they're a lot more aggressive than MicroStrategy, but MicroStrategy has bought a lot so far.
Yeah, I think MicroStrategy was aggressive at different times, right? I mean, they're almost kind of BitMine seems like they're trying to catch up, right?
Yeah.
Also, that maybe they feel like these prices are, the cheap, because if they're buying $113 million worth on Tuesday, that's a bullish sign to me, because they think 4,000 to 4,100 is cheap Ethereum, right?
Mhm.
And so what are their targets? We've heard Tom Lee talk about targets, but how much of that is like for TV? How much is that what he
Mhm.
really truly thinks? I think it's pretty close, because he hit some of his targets with Bitcoin he hit them multiple times. So I don't know if he was in the same position though, because now he is taking that Michael Saylor role for Ethereum. It's a little different. I mean, he wants to probably hype it up extra. So, people are just really bullish on the Ethereum as an asset. But $113 million is a lot of confidence to me.
Yeah. 100% here, especially with other DATs that are actually selling off right now, which is a little scary. People are saying that that's a signal for the top, but I disagree. All right. Let's kind of jump into our Wednesday segment. So every Wednesday, we've been talking about the great guys over at Sats Terminal. So if you guys don't know, Sats Terminal could be one of the better places to buy these Spark tokens. So if you go over to Sats Terminal, you go to the Spark. You can actually start. You have to sign in with your Xverse wallet here, and I'll just put my password in, and we'll confirm that. And of course, that is not working for me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, but it looks like they've added Beta Cat already to their swap.
Did they?
So, yeah, you can't use it right now because Flashnet is down, because they're making that adding that update. Which I want to assume it's going to be later today, but I know in crypto dev time, you have to almost times 3.
Yeah.
Well, from what they say, he said 48 hours, but I don't want it to be times 3.
48 hours means Monday, in my opinion. When it comes to dev, any dev, you talk to any dev, they're like, "Hey, we'll get it done in 10 days." 3 months later, you're wondering what the hell is going on, right? And I'm not saying that their devs are like that. They might have some pretty amazing devs over there, and it sounds like they do, especially grabbing Magic Eden's lead, Spark Dev there as well. And then you have this over here. You do see unavailable, so this is probably a telltale too. Once you see this go green, to start trading here. But it is cool. You do have beta, UTXO soon. They got soon up here as well.
Nice.
Akita. So actually pretty cool. And Egg. What the hell is Egg Dog?
I guess that might be another one. I don't know what Egg Dog is, but they got BTKN as well. That I don't think BTKN has, unless it's on
I think that's
UTXO.
one of the original tokens.
Oh, okay.
From before the launch pads existed. But yeah, man. And that, so definitely, guys, if you're trading Spark tokens, you definitely want to head over to Sats Terminal, because they're aggregating from everywhere. So they potentially could get you the cheapest price if you're interested in getting some Spark tokens over there. So highly recommend it. And on top of that, they obviously have their borrowing and lending. If you need, let's just say you have Bitcoin, but you don't want to like sell it to get into Spark and stuff, you can actually take a loan on it and get some USDC, play in Spark, and who knows, you might double your money there, and then you can get your Bitcoin out of the loan. So that is up to you as well. But do not sell your Bitcoin. If you're gonna sell it, take a loan against it, and then in a couple years from then, you're gonna be very happy that you did, because potentially, that Bitcoin will be worth a lot more than the stables you have to put in to get that Bitcoin back. So, but that's everything I got. I think that's our show today.
Yep. Absolutely, guys. We appreciate you guys for listening in, tuning in. I know the price is probably not very encouraging of Bitcoin and Ethereum right now, but let's give it some time after that 2 p.m. Eastern meeting and see what happens. Give it a couple of hours after that. Maybe this is the final flush out. I'm hoping. We'll see what happens. But without you guys, we couldn't do this, and we are very appreciative of that. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. Shizzy just hit on Sats Terminal, so I'll quickly talk about them real quick. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for Bitcoin runes, alkanes, or Spark tokens, you got to do it at satsterminal.com. Connect your wallet for the first time. You get a bonus of Amber points, and every swap you earn Amber points as well. And those are going to go back to a give back to early adopters. So just remember that. Also, they have the borrowing product, borrow against your Bitcoin. You can take stables out, so you don't have to sell at these cheap prices, and you can wait until it moons again, whenever that will be. But you can use those stables for whatever you want to do, right? And you can try to earn more with those stables, and then pay back your loan, and then there you go. But yeah, head over to satsterminal.com to learn more there. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or Bitcoin NFTs, like counterparty NFTs, over to Ethereum, you got to use Emblem Vault. And right now there's I think Gandhi application, which is the largest borrowing and lending NFT applications on Ethereum. They are accepting loans against your Taproot Wizard, so you can use Emblem to take your Taproot Wizards over there and get a loan against it, right? The Emblem team is going to be adding this to other tech stacks as well, other chains, and Solana is one of those. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem with agenthustle.ai. If you go to agenthustle.ai, you can use it for free. There is a free level of subscription. You only get 10 prompts, but you can ask questions like, find me some low cap gems in the Solana ecosystem. He'll bring back a couple options for you and why he thinks these are solid options. Also, there is a conditional trade engine that's built within Agent Hustle. So you can set some buy and sell limit orders for the meme coins you're trading, right? So that's always cool to be able to do what you need to do, and Hustle will execute those trades on your behalf. Also, there is another product in their ecosystem called Migrate.fun. If you launched a token on Pump Fund or Bonk.fun or any launchpad that locks liquidity, Migrate.fun can help you get that liquidity and migrate to a new launchpad with your community. They already finished their first cohort. It went really smooth, had some pretty big names in there. Monopoly Money was one of them, which I think is Zcash right now. I think that's what they rebranded to. And then there's a second cohort that's about to happen, and this one's big. Pay AI, I think, might be in that one. I'm not sure, but they have some big names in that as well. So if you're interested in migrating your community over to another launchpad or manage your own LP so you can earn all the fees, reach out to their team at migrate.fun to learn more, and then go to emblem.vision to learn about all the products in their ecosystem. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have their Wizard version 2.0 that guides you through the entire Merlin Chain ecosystem. It can actually trade for tokens outside the ecosystems on your behalf. All you got to do is have some Merlin Chain Bitcoin. You can swap for Solana tokens or BSC tokens as well. But it can do DeFi swaps and staking on Merlin Chain on your behalf as well. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model, and there's 3 ways for you to participate. The first way is really awesome. You can stake Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. The first staking vault lasted for 3 months, ended September 30th, and they got an average of 17% APR for their stakers. So really amazing return there. And the second staking vault is open right now. It will go until January 8th, I think, of 2026. And they're going to be shooting for that same amount of APR, you know, between 8 and 21% is what they shoot for. So you can join by staking your Bitcoin there. And then there's 2 other options for the Merlin Chain token. The flexible option is a day-to-day staking option that you can, you know, stake and withdraw any day you want. It does take 7 days to have a cooldown period to get your Merlin Chain token back, though. You earn 15% on that staking vault, and then you can claim your rewards every single day in that. And then the last one is I think it's bonded. Is that correct? Bonded. It's a 6-month lockup. You earn 45% APR, and you can claim those rewards every single day. But again, it is locked up for 6 months. But that is the options in terms of earning from their proof of stake security model there. Head over to merlinchain.io to learn about their ecosystem and what they got going on there. Appreciate you guys checking out our.
Great job, man. As always, you guys have a few more minutes. Wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io. Some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering your space, please send them our website. We'll feel like it can help them get started and code up to where we are today. Brand new article just dropped this week, 402. Definitely go check this out. It'll really get you caught up on everything happening in 402. Not to mention all the other articles that we've dropped over the past couple weeks. Definitely want to get into those. About 4 to 5 minute reads. Definitely check them out. If you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend Nord. NordVPN is something I use every single day. This will allow you to use Hyperliquid. This will allow you to use MEXC. Any of the stuff that's geo blocking you right now, you can get past that. Right now, I'm using Italy. Italy seems like it's one of the best servers there. I've used Switzerland. I've used El Salvador. But if you go on there, put it to Italy, kind of see if you kind of getting the same results that I am. But you can put it anywhere in the world. But you know those countries do allow you. They don't geo block you from Hyperliquid and MEXC and stuff like that. But there's other sites as well. So definitely check out everything here. And privacy is a right. Right, especially here in the US, you can actually hide your IP because you don't want people to know where you live. When you go to these sites, they get your IP address, which that could lead them to your home address, and you don't want that. And on top of that, we have some of the best merch in all of crypto: hats, shirts, jacket, and much more. Check everything out here at OnChainRevolution.io. Remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and arching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.